Hi, Professor. Today I'm going to talk about writers I liked from this course. Sophia, Percival Shirley, and Marcel Proust are my three favorite writers that I met in this course. In the timeline of the Enlightenment, the rise and development of feminism is an extremely brilliant beacon, which guides future generations to safeguard women's rights and pursue gender equality. Sophia is one of the most representative feminist writers in the neoclassic era. She directly showed her belief that the power of women in society was far underestimated and ignored. Argument and reasoning should be used to win women's respect, as she believes that women are intelligent. Her work, Women Not Fear to Men, really attracted me because her literary works are full of satire and wit. For example, in Women Not Fair to Men, here is an excerpt. Men seem to conclude that all other creatures were made for them because they themselves were not created till all were in readiness for them. How far this reasoning will hold good, I will not take upon me to say, but if it has any weight at all, I am sure it must equally prove that the men were made for our use rather than we for theirs. She humorously and intelligently satirizes the absurdity of men at the time by suggesting that men were made for women and that women were therefore superior to men. Her satirical and intelligent writing enabled me to understand the absurdity and incomprehension of the source more directly, and to emphasize with women who were treated unfairly at the time. This also makes her works interesting and not boring to read. And another reason why this work attracts me is that Sophia claimed that at the time, the fundamental reason why women were inferior to men was a lack of educational opportunity for women. And this is exactly what I think is the root cause of the double standard between women and men at the time. And the next one is Percival Shelley. Romanticism overturns the aristocratic and authoritarian political culture since the Age of Enlightenment, and used art and literature to resist the artificial rationalization of nature. Percival Shelley is one of the most outstanding romantic poets. He mastered tones ranging from the satiric and the prophetic, and most poems were based on a longing for an alternative to things. His work, Ode to the West Wind, appealed to me significantly because he creates various atmospheres to lyrikize throughout the poems. For example, at the beginning of the poem, the wind says, "Was a lie cold and low, each like a corpse within its grave, until thin azure sister of the spring shell below." Here is a sinister and violent atmosphere. And in the third part, which is besides a Pomsey isle in Byron's Bay, and saw enslaved old palaces and towers, cowering within the waves in tunes a day. And we can see here is a luxurious and beautiful atmosphere. And in the end, we'll take from both a deep, autonomous tone, sweet soul in sadness, be thou, spirit fairest, my spirit, be thou me, impetuous one. Here is an atmosphere of fighting spirit and power. Through his description of the atmosphere, I can deeply understand his depressed and painful mental state. Feels emphasis on nature and time and the theme of exchanging good for evil in his poems. This allows me to identify with the author, so this is why I like this poem. And the final one, Marshall Proust. Proust. Existentialism is a philosophical trend of irrationalism, which holds the meaning of human existence cannot be answered by rational thinking. To emphasize individual independence and subjective experience. Marcel Proust is one of the most representative writers of the existentialism period, and wanted to empower more people to pursue a clear vision and universal human values through his literary works. His work, Savvy's Way, begin really attract me because the characters of this book are not fully drawn from the beginning, but are gradually revealed from different perspectives in each chapter until the end. This allows me to follow the story closely, to feel the experience and feelings of the protagonist personally, and then to change with the protagonist as the story progresses. For example, as the story went on, I was able to recreate dreams and memories with Marshall and the protagonist to become personal and emotional together. And that's all three writers that I liked from what we learned in this course. And thank you for listening.